Hello everyone, my name is Brian, but you can call me the Bugler, and today we're going to be performing an exotic breakdown and analysis for the Titan chest piece, the Hallowfire Heart. So let's get started. The Hallowfire Heart is an exotic Titan chest piece designed to be used with the Sunbreaker Titan. In fact, if you use it with any other subclass, you won't see any benefit to using this other than a power level increase. The exotic perk is called Sunfire Furnace. This perk greatly improves your recharge rate for your solar abilities while Hammer of Soul is charged. Let's take a closer look at this. The first thing you'll notice when your Hammer of Soul is charged is that you'll see an active effect on the left-hand side of your screen called Sunfire Furnace. When you activate your super, however, as soon as it begins to deplete, you will lose out on this benefit. So that means even during an active Hammer of Soul, you lose out on the extra cooldowns. So you won't be able to spam any extra grenades during your super. Before we move on and talk about how fast your cooldowns are with this perk activated, let's take a look at our base cooldowns real quick. I'm switching the skill trees so you can see all of the cooldowns starting at the exact same time. You can see that our melee and grenade both have the same cooldown of 83 seconds. This is the same for both skill trees and for every single grenade. So moving forward, keep that 83 second base duration in mind. When your super is charged and Sunfire Furnace is active, our grenade and melee abilities are reduced from 83 seconds at base to about 25 1/3 seconds. It's important to remember that your class ability is not counted as far as Sunfire Furnace is concerned. Don't forget that, it'll be on the test later. This amounts to about a 70% cooldown reduction for both of your solar abilities, but we can take this a little bit further. Let's take a look. I'm of course referring to my good friend, the Code of the Siegebreaker. This is the Sunbreaker's bottom skill tree, and the skill we'll be looking at specifically is called Sun Warrior. While standing in a sunspot, your solar abilities recharge faster. This stacks with the Hallowfire Heart, and we'll get to those exact numbers a little bit later in the video. Before we do that, we have to take a closer look at Sun Warrior as a whole. When using the Code of the Siegebreaker, any solar ability kill that you get will make the enemy leave behind a sunspot. When you stand within that sunspot, you gain the active buff Sun Warrior, which increases the rate in which your solar abilities cool down. With Sun Warrior active, our cooldown goes from 83 seconds at base to about 18.3 seconds. This is even more than the Hallowfire Heart, and it's very nice. But these stack. Let's take a look at that now. While standing in a sunspot with Sunfire Furnace activated, our cooldown is dramatically reduced, from 83 seconds all the way down to about 12.73 seconds. That's huge. But we can take this even further. We can go beyond. Let's take a look at mods next. For those of you who are unaware, mods reduce the cooldowns of your abilities by about 9%, and this stacks in a series, meaning that if you have 2 mods equipped, it will apply the first 9% and then apply the second 9% on that reduced cooldown rate. So, if we are using 2 cooldown mods for our melee ability, we end up with a cooldown of about 69 seconds. You can see that it's quite a bit faster than our grenade, which has no active mods. Let's take a look at how this behaves with Sunspots and the Hallowfire Heart. What you're about to see is a test I conducted using 1 grenade mod and Sunfire Furnace active in order to get a base cooldown reduction. And the results are as disappointing as they are strange. Instead of getting the 9% cooldown reduction I expected, we only get a cooldown reduction of about 1%, taking us from 25 1/3 all the way down to about 24 1/2. That's very odd, and not only that, it also applies to the sunspots as well, the exact same multiplier of about 1%. So let's take what we've learned, stack it twice with 2 cooldown reduction mods, and see the maximum cooldown we can actually get. We go from the abysmally slow 12.76 all the way down to a lightning fast 12.3 seconds. Now that's something to write home about. And now it's time for me to offer up my opinion on where I think this exotic stands. As long as you're using the Code of the Siegebreaker skill tree, this is a pretty good exotic. We'll get to why I think it's not as good with the Code of the Fireforged towards the end of my opinion where I talk about the negatives. The obvious positives with this exotic is that you can use your grenades faster, and melee ability of course. This is great in Destiny 2, but only because of the artificially inflated ability cooldowns. If the ability cooldowns weren't so absurd, this exotic wouldn't really have as much value here. In Destiny 1, the version of this exotic was also very good, but at the same time, you had other options to reduce your cooldown rates, making it not as top tier as it could have been, such as in Destiny 2, where it's almost needed if you're looking to get any low cooldowns. It's also important to note that this is the only exotic designed specifically for the Sunbreaker in Destiny 2 at this time. Now, that doesn't make it any better or worse, it just leads me to believe that there are some problems with the design philosophy of these exotics. Now we're getting on to the negatives, the juicy part. The Code of the Fireforged skill tree has an excellent melee ability, and being able to use it more often is fantastic, meaning that if you wanted to use this exotic with the Code of the Fireforged skill tree, the melee ability pretty much justifies it on its own. However, 2 of the 4 skills in that tree revolve around you using your super. So if you're holding onto your super in order to use more grenades and melee abilities with that top skill tree, you're losing out on half of your skills that you're granted, that the game chose for you. So I don't understand. Why would they design an exotic that makes it so you receive much less value, 50% less value from a skill tree? This is the only exotic in the game right now where you lose out so much by using it. The trade-off is just absurd as far as I'm concerned, and it's really just because the skill trees that it revolves around benefiting were not designed well enough. As a final note, I also want to mention the aesthetics of this exotic, which is something that I do in every one of my exotic videos. I find this exotic to be aesthetically lacking. The fire is very cool. Unfortunately, a lot of the Titan exotic chest pieces are very skinny. They're very close to your Titan, and I just don't really like how that looks. However, if you do use some of the skinnier arm pieces and leg pieces, it doesn't look nearly as bad. However, my character looks like he's just not wearing any chest armor when I wear this, almost like he's wearing under armor, or his arms and head are tremendous in comparison. That's just personal preference. I still think the fire on the actual armor looks very cool. And that's the end of this exotic breakdown. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about how I conducted the tests, or why I might not have included other footage, please let me know in the comments. If you'd like, you can check out my Discord server, Twitch channel, Patreon, or clan in this video's description. After every video, I usually stream on Twitch. However, since this one's being released so early in the day, I'll be streaming later tonight, so you can follow me on Twitch if you want to catch the stream tonight. It should be around 9:30 Eastern or so. And as far as the Discord server is concerned, anyone's allowed to join. Just click the link, stop in, say hello, and talk about whatever you'd like with like-minded individuals. As for my next video, it's going to be my Hunter Best in Show video. My Hunter has been remade, all ready to go for final testing, and I've been collecting footage from my Hunter for this video for weeks now. This video takes quite a bit of time, because in order for me to judge the categories that we've chosen, I want to make sure that I get in enough playtime in every single activity with the Hunter. You can expect that video sometime this weekend, hopefully tomorrow night, but if not, Sunday in the early afternoon. So once again, thanks for watching, I hope I see you next time, and good luck getting through the exclusion zone.